people, again, they've got a fast life, and so they get home and they're tired from their day and so forth. So they end up having takeout. And the trouble with any time you get takeout or you go to a restaurant to eat, you're relying on what they're putting into it, and you have no idea what that is. And 9 times out of 10, there'll be more salt, more sugar, more oils and butters and things like that that accumulate and are not good for you because they'll use the oils that are not the best that will accumulate in your system and hurt you just as much as if you went out for fast food. You'll save a lot of money because you're not paying for the food coming to your door or going out to a restaurant. Learn to cook. It can be a simple meal. Nowadays, people have a lot of different salad-like components, and they add things, like beans and seeds and nuts and that kind of thing, and make it a complete meal. It's a combo, all in one meal. That works too. Find what works for you. It can be as simple as you decide to make it, but make sure the ingredients are good for you. This is something you should pay attention to. Think about labels. People don't read them because they're deliberately not easy to read. I mean, you're going to have chemical compound names and an awful lot of ingredients, which immediately makes you glaze over when you're reading it. So you stop reading it. Start looking it up. If you think something is healthy and you look at the label and you think it is, well, bring it home, look it up on the internet, look up those products. First of all, if you can't pronounce it, if there are far too many chemicals in it, it's not healthy. Second of all, if you have fewer ingredients, it will be better for you because it's not adulterating whatever you're eating too badly, okay? Which makes it easier on your body. So start looking at labels seriously. Start thinking about what you're eating. And here's one for you. There's a huge row when you go into a grocery store of cereals. You've got your big companies like Kellogg's and so forth. And these companies all have products that are genetically modified. Now, I know it might not seem like a big deal, but it is. These foods do not digest the same way. And they're not benefiting you because nature didn't create it that way. They changed it. Again, it's in a package, so you have to be sure of what you're getting. So go for organic. Go for cooking your own. If you're creating a cereal or something or like a breakfast, go for more natural, simple ingredients. But make sure that it is organic when it comes to that, okay? Yes, I agree with eating grains. I think grains are important. But there's an awful lot of grains that are overlooked, like amaranth. I mean, it's a wonderful grain. There's ancient grains that people can try, and when it comes to other things other than potatoes or rice, there's, there's pasta. But have you thought about the pastas that are actually made from things like lentils and beans? What's wrong with that? In fact, it's quite ingenious. It's another way to eat your pasta if you're hooked on pasta because you're eating other things that are good for you. Start looking at those sort of things. You're going to be quite impressed when you try them because they're quite tasty. If you look around and try to find other ways, other than what you've been eating, you're going to be surprised to find there's some awfully good choices out there. You just got to look. Genetically engineered products. There are some that have been engineered deliberately And those I think you should avoid. These are products that are made specifically to be genetically engineered, and that means that they're not organic and you should avoid them. Now, there's some fruits and veggies out there that they warn you about because the pesticides that they put on our soils tend to be absorbed in a greater capacity on those. And so there are things like celery, because it's so water-based, that absorbs more readily. So whenever you see a fruit or a veggie that is more water-based, you're going to find it tends to be one of those they list as the dirty dozen, which means that pesticides tend to hang on to it. Now you can wash these vegetables and it does, and fruits, and it does help. And you can do it properly. But the thing is that if you start with a better product, that it makes it easier and you know you're not eating things you shouldn't. So there are things like strawberries. Strawberries is on the dirty dozen list. If you had your own garden, you could create your own strawberries. And then there are things like spinach, kale, collards, mustard greens, grapes, peaches, pears, nectarines, apples, bell and hot peppers, cherries, blueberries, green beans, and as I mentioned, celery. All those things you can still buy in the store if they're organic. And better yet, you can end up buying frozen versions of those that have been frozen fresh and are just fine. And then you can keep them for whenever you need them. You can also go to a farmer's market if you have a local area where that happens every year. And now in most towns, that does happen. And when it comes to winter, you can load up on those veggies and freeze them. Or you can even try freeze drying them, that kind of thing. So there's no real excuse not to have decent food. You can even try a few pots on your little porch and start growing a few things yourself. And I would advise you to think seriously about trying to find a space where you can actually get a garden, even if it's a community garden or an effort like that, where you can get fresh produce that you actually create yourself. Seeds are really inexpensive. And when I look at the cost of food now, there's just no excuse not to do some form of it. It is so healthy, and you're part of the process. So now I've given you some things to think about. Please do pay attention to your health. When you get to be an older person, you're going to find out the habits that you had when you were younger will come back to stare at you or to deal with you. And you don't want to wait till then to find out that you didn't eat right or you didn't take care of yourself. Because it's really sad what happens to some people. And yes, they've done it to themselves, but they can avoid it. You can avoid it. People actually can live longer these days, and if you're going to do that, you want to be healthy. That's all there is to it. You do. There's so many things you can do once you're retired if you're healthy. And if you're not, then you're just gearing yourself towards more things that are going wrong, pain, diseases, and so forth. It's not what you want. I mean, when you're retired, you want to start doing some of those interesting things you always wanted to do, like hobbies or traveling or any number of things that you thought you might want to try one day and you just haven't had the time or whatever. Retirement is a time that you should enjoy. So think about that. Think about the happiness that you will have because you paid attention. I want you to be healthy and I want you to be happy. So please think about what I'm saying. It's not too late to change things. Okay? And I wish you the best. And I would like it if you would subscribe to my channel. And we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.